Yep.
Mr. Cohen, why should voters say, oh, you know what, we put another party in power in the state legislature, we're going to have a different Albany? In fact, the coup was engineered by the Republicans. They're the ones who brought Espada and Montserrat and offered them leadership positions. Republicans obviously controlled the legislature not that long ago. We always get 3 men in the room. It doesn't seem to make a difference who's in power. Why should anybody feel any different that if they put Republicans in office, this thing would be any better than it is now?
Well, let's look at it like this. First of all, when we go back to the summer, 2 summers ago, when we had Senator Espada and Montserrat decided to be Republicans.
Well, they didn't decide to be, with all due respect. They were recruited by Senator Skelos to come over, and they were offered leadership positions.
Well, they went over and obviously left their party. The deal, whatever the deal was, obviously I'm not privy to that deal, whatever deal they were making, it didn't come about, and they decided to go back, or they got a better deal from the Democrats. I quite frankly don't know which it is, but I can tell you that what I saw when our state was shut down for 6 weeks, I thought it was despicable. And quite frankly, myself, if I had been in the legislature at that time, and I was as a Republican, I would have went over to the Democratic side, and I would have caucused with them in order to get the New York State legislature back in business. Now, I don't agree with everything that Democrats have to say, but I certainly would have caucused with them so that we would have had enough members to actually do the people's business. So I think you have to look at it from a bipartisan or a nonpartisan basis. We have a real partisanship problem in Albany, and we have to start to correct that problem. This is one example of it. Another thing that we could do, in my opinion, as I said earlier, would be term limits. Secondly, I think that we need to focus on nonpartisan redistricting in the state. I think we need to change the way the primary system works, to do what they call as jungle primaries, to allow 2 people of the same party to run against each other within the same district, so that you have the 2 highest vote getters in a primary actually face off in the general election, whereby you could conceivably have 2 Democrats running against each other and 2 Republicans.
Thank you.
Okay. In your campaigns, you both say that you support the STAR program, you support lowering taxes, and you support nonpartisan redistricting. Mr. Cohen, if you're elected, what would you do different than your opponent?
Well, I mean, let's start off clearly with the STAR program. The STAR rebate program, the middle class STAR, was defeated 2 years ago. It was the program was ended. Senator Oppenheimer was the 32nd vote to end that program. You know, now she's telling us that she's supporting that, or that she wants to restore that. But the fact is that when she had the opportunity to vote against the elimination of the program, she voted for the elimination of the program. So I would look to restore STAR, as I said. In terms of lowering taxes, I mean, clearly it's easy for my opponent, who's been in office 26 years, to now say she's for lowering taxes. But what has she done in the last 26 years to effectuate that promise, or to effectuate what she says now? When we look at her record, she has supported budget after budget. In the last budget, as I say, they raised spending, borrowing, and taxes in the last budget. In the budget before that, we had the largest income tax increase, the largest tax increase in the history of the state of New York, over $4 billion tax increase, and we increased our spending by $10 billion. Again, Senator Oppenheimer voted in favor of those tax increases and those spending increases. So today, several weeks before the election, she's saying, well, no, I want to restore STAR and I want to lower taxes. But what did she do when she had the power to do that?
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Cohen. Senator, would you like to respond to that?
Sure. I have to keep reminding my opponent that the Democrats have been in control for 20 months. And that it was 70 years of Republican leadership before that that put us partially in this mess. I won't blame the whole global collapse of the world economy on it. He keeps saying STAR. There are 3 different STARs. There's the STAR exemption, which, because many suburban senators, myself and the leadership, said we cannot change STAR and make it more burdensome for Westchester instead of helping us, We have maintained STAR exemption as it was. We have maintained senior citizen enhancement of the exemption. That's still the same. What we had to get rid of was $1.2 billion of the STAR rebate check. Yes, we did not like that, but we had a $9.2 billion hole in our budget, and we had to get a budget passed. So none of us enjoyed it. But of that $9.2 billion, I should note that 90% of that, of covering that hole, was done through cuts to our government. We cut back our agencies, and we cut back a lot of money going out the door to our local assistance for schools, for hospitals. That got cut. And only 10% was a fee or tax increase.
Thank you, Senator.
We are at the point of the program where it's for closing statements. And per the coin flip, I'm going to have Mr. Cohen deliver the first, and these are a minute 30 each.
Right. I go first or last?
We'll give the final word to Ms. Oppenheimer since you got the first opening statement.
Okay. All right. Thank you. This election is quite clear. We know what we've had in the past. For the last 26 years, we've been represented by Senator Oppenheimer. We know the dysfunction that we've had. We know that we've had late budgets, that 24 out of the last 26 budgets were not on time. We know that we've had dysfunction. We've had the inability of our state legislature to do the job that they're sent to do. We know that taxes have increased. We know that spending and borrowing have increased. We know that we haven't dealt with the long-term problems of the state of New York. We have a choice. That choice is that we continue along the same path as we've gone for the last 26 years, or we can change directions. We can chart a new course. We can try and vote for a person who is not part of the status quo. I have not been in Albany for 26 years. I come from the private sector. I think we can do things differently. I think we must do things differently in the state of New York because our children's future and our future depend on it. We need certain things clearly. We need to get a property tax cap of 2% in this state. We need to focus on the long-term issues that we have in this state. I believe that by electing new people to Albany, we can change the culture of Albany. By sending the same people there, we're going to get the same results over and over again. Thank you and good night.
Thank you, Mr. Cohen. Senator Oppenheimer.
I'm going to try and answer a few things. I wanted to mention that as chair of the Education Committee, when I first took over as chair, I said that I would entertain no unfunded mandates in my committee. So we will have no unfunded mandates, school mandates, moving forward. But that doesn't take into account going backwards. So I asked State Education Department to review every unfunded mandate that we have. I think we will be seeing many more that will be excluded. As far as this bum business, I am considered, I think, by my colleagues to be highly ethical. I am the chair of the Legislative Ethics Commission, and I was put there by my colleagues. So I think they think of me as being an ethical human being. I also wanted to mention that I am not a partisan person, that all of these bills that I mentioned to you, my landmark education bills, my unfunded mandate bills, my shared services, my paperwork reduction, all of those bills passed unanimously. And that is quite a unique thing in the legislature this year because there was so much block voting going on. So I feel that I can work across the aisle. I have always worked across the aisle. And I feel that we have a lot of challenges ahead in this coming year, and I'm happy to be doing work on reform, which is something that I have been doing for 26 years.
Thank you. That is about all the time we have, and as I mentioned off the top, this is the fourth and final debate that we have done with our friends at the Westchester County Association and Iona College. You have your own job to do here. In less than 2 weeks, you're going to have to pull a lever here and make a choice. A lot of very important elections in these midterms for both statewide and even federal races. So the only thing we do ask you that we can agree on is vote. Thank you very much for joining us. I'll see you tomorrow.